Okay, let me get this started. Okay, ready for the first chapter test. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, you remember what points are, right? They have a capital letter. Collinear points are 3 points that are on the same line, or several points, all points that are collinear on the same line. Non-collinear points, you'll have two and then another one that's not. And so you remember those. Okay, a line, you can name them in three different ways. You can name it with MN and the arrows. You can say it backwards, NM with the arrows, and then you can say line T with the small cursive letter. Okay, line segments. Okay, this one is MN or NM, you switch it around backwards. If you want to talk about its measure, then you don't put the line segment over the top. You just say MN equals 10. Okay. Rays, we know about array. We know about rays. Okay. We start from the origin and we put that first, and then we always go to the right and put the second letter. Okay. Planes, remember that you have to have three non-collinear points to name a plane unless it has a little letter in the corner, cursive capital. But they have to be non-collinear. They can't be in a row. So this would be plane BDQ, right? This one is plane M. Now this is not a point. It's just a capital cursive letter in the corner. So you can either use three non-collinear points to name a plane, or you can use the capital cursive letter. Okay? Coplanar points and lines are like this one right here. This line is coplanar. It's in the plane. Okay? Y goes through the plane because of that dotted line. Remember how we stuck a pencil through a cardboard, uh, a piece of cardboard, and it went through the plane. That's what the dotted line represents, the part of the line that you can't see because the plane's in the way. All right. Anyway, next. Yeah, we got segment addition or midpoint or bisector. Okay, segment addition, they use the word between, and basically they give you a total, and so you say part plus part equals whole, right? So you just, this part plus this part equals to the whole thing 47. That's segment addition, okay? Whenever it's a bisector or a midpoint, if they tell you bisector or they say it's a midpoint and then they give you these parts, then basically this part and this part are congruent. So anything that's congruent, you can set equal to each other, right? Okay. Next, okay, we've got two sets of angles. Everything looks the same except for the information. Okay, 87 is a total. So this is angle addition. First angle plus the second angle equals to 87. Make sense? Okay, this one says that this AB right here, this ray, is an angle bisector. Ha! It chops it in half, and then these two angles are the same size, right? So if they're the same size, you can you can set them equal to each other. Sorry about that. Anyway, you can set them equal to each other because it's a bisector. These two are the same. If they're the same, you can set them equal. All right. Then you plug back in if you need the angle. Okay, distance. Couple of different ways to find distance. Okay, if we wanted to find the distance between 2 points or the line segment that it creates, then if you have a graph, then you just use the adding Pythagorean theorem that we talked about. So if we want to find that distance between the 2 points or that line segment, then we create a right triangle so that we can use the adding Pythagorean theorem. Okay, this one down here is 6 and that one's 4. So we say square root of 6 squared plus 4 squared, and that gives you 7.2. And that's the distance between these 2 points. Okay. Um, Distance formula. If there's no graph and you just have these two, you could put it on a graph. Sometimes I'll steal a graph and do that real quick, but if not, you can just use the distance formula, right? Where you subtract the x's backwards, subtract the y's backwards, right? So remember, this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. One's because it's the first point. Two's because it's the second point, okay? So you just plug everything in, like x2 minus x1 is 3 minus a negative 3. So you put the minus before you ever look at x1, and then you put the negative 3. This could be, you could say 3 plus 3, or you say minus a negative in your calculator and be just fine. Okay, this is 2 minus a negative 2. So could be 2 plus 2 or 2 minus a negative 2, okay? And then just punch it into your calculator and you get 7.2, all right? Same one as this, really. All right, so finding a midpoint, okay? There's a midpoint formula. You have to be careful because sometimes they want you to find an endpoint, okay? But this one, they want you to find a midpoint, okay? So there's a midpoint formula. Anyway, I don't know why that was doing that, but whatever. I put it in there a long time ago. Forgot about it. All right, so we're going to average the x's. So we take the two x's, this one and this one. Well, let's put all this on there. x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to take the two x's, this one, and put them in here and divide by 2. So I can get the x coordinate, right? Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 over 2. Negative 2 over 2 is 1, or negative 1, I'm sorry. And then the y coordinates are negative 2 and 4. So put those here and here, right? Negative 2 plus 4 is 2 over 2, which is 1. So the midpoint is here at negative 1 up 1. Or there's this strange method. If you have the two dots on a graph, you can make this box and put diagonals and you'll find your midpoint. Amazing, huh? Excuse me. Anyway, so sorry. So we're finding an endpoint given a midpoint. Okay, they say M is the midpoint. Okay, the midpoint is 1, 5, and C is 5, negative 3. So draw a picture so that you get this in order. Okay, so if you want to get this endpoint, then you use that trick. Okay, 5 drops down to 1, so it went down 4, right? So it went down 4. And now it's got to go down 4 more, right? So 1 minus 4 will give me negative 3, okay? The negative 3 right here, okay, goes all the way up to 5, which is, up 8 because you're crossing 0 and you got 3 on one side and 5 on the other, and that's 8. So it's got to go up 8 more, and that's 13, right? Okay? So be careful which one you're solving, a midpoint or an endpoint, okay? Here's the application of the distance and the midpoint, okay? So if you want to find the center of the circle, isn't that just the midpoint? You know what I mean? Because these two radii or radii, aren't they the same length? And this is like a midpoint between these 2 points. So you just use the midpoint formula, okay? 3 plus 9 is 12 divided by 2 is 6 for the first number. 1 plus a negative 3 divided by 2, that's negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. You get the answer. Okay, if you want the diameter, isn't that just the distance between these 2 points? And you use the distance formula, right? Here to here is a length, okay? And you plug it into the distance formula, and you get the answer for how long it is, okay? 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 squared is like 36. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4 squared would be 16. So 36 and 16 would be like square root of 52, and that's 7.1 something or something like that. Okay, so you just plug it into the formula. All right, and if you wanted to find the radius, then just find the distance between them, or do half the distance formula after you already do the diameter. Okay, all right, let me see. So how do you write this equation? Because this is not bisector, right? This angle's big, this one's small. Okay, because you're going to do angle addition, right? So this angle plus this angle equals what? Yeah, this is a straight line, so all the way from here to here is 180, right? Okay, so first part plus second part equals to the whole, which is 180. Then you solve, okay? What about this one? Okay, nobody said bisector. We don't know it's in the middle. So the most we can say is that this part plus this part is equal to 90, right? And that's how you set that one up, okay? All right, here's this one where we want a point that is 3/4 of the way from F to H. So it should be in here. Like half would be here, a fourth would be somewhere in here. Okay, so we find the distance, right? Okay, we find the distance, which is 8. I didn't write all this stuff out. So anyway, this is 8, and then we multiply it by 3/4. Now that's going to give me 6. 6 is how far I travel to get my answer. Okay, because because 6 is 3/4 of the way, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So my answer is negative 1. Okay, so 8 times 3/4 gave me how far I had to travel from F to H, and then I counted and found negative 1, and that was my answer. Okay, we're done. Okay, let me get out of here. Gotta kill it, gotta kill it, gotta kill it. Where's my deal? There we go, here we go. About to kill it. How do we kill it? I forgot.